Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inform New Hampshire. My name is Dean, and this is Richie to my right, my co-host. We are broadcasting on Manchester Cable Television Channel 23 on Monday evenings, Thursday mornings, and on the weekends. Richie and I both we have a Inform New Hampshire YouTube channel where you can view our shows, and in the future we hope to have additional content there. So stop by and like us and subscribe. We would have greatly appreciate it. We also have a Facebook page, Inform New Hampshire. And you're welcome to stop by there and do whatever you do on Facebook, because I'm not even sure. So we believe we're in grave danger here in the United States. We know that our currency is near collapse. We know that our government is run by an international crime syndicate, and crime is rampant throughout our country, even at the local levels, especially here in New Hampshire. And I know most of you would be surprised to know that there is a lot of criminal activity at the highest levels of our state government here. So we're concerned, and we are doing the best we can to inform people of news and information that we find that's not available in the mainstream media, probably never will be, because they're owned by the people who run the country. So today we had a guest scheduled for an interview today. He was a young guy running for state rep, and right now he's not here, so we're just going to make it up as we go today. So I guess it's going to be happy hour with Dean and Richie today. But before we get started, we always want to mention our good friend Jerry Legalese, who's a political prisoner being held out in Nevada, and in mild forms of torture, because that's what the idiots from the federal government do when they steal somebody from their U.S. citizenship subject. Well, that's what they do. They take people, they stick them in jail, all because they don't like their political speech. And that's exactly what happened to Jerry Legalese. Do you want to say something about that?
Yes, Jerry's been in jail for 7 months now, which is lovely. Put the good guys in jail and let the thieves run our state in our country. It's wonderful. I would like to just ask people to find it in your heart to send Jerry or his wife, Sue, a little bit of money to help them out. They've got a tough battle to fight. Sue is here. She's a state rep. She's in New Hampshire. Her husband's in Nevada in jail. He's been there for 5 or 6 months now. In jail a total of 7 months. If you can find it in your heart, it's freejerrydelemus.com, and you can donate money. It's JERRYDELEMUS. And I'm sure they'd appreciate it. I would too. I'd like to know that there's some civility left in our country, and that good people aren't left to rot. They're not forgot about. It's one of the reasons why I'm running for sheriff, but I'm not going to get into that right now. We were going to have Caleb Dyer on, and I don't know if Caleb had difficulty finding the studio or not, but I found him to be a very intelligent young man, and I talked to him when he was about 18 or 19. He's now running for state rep down in Pelham, and I believe it's Hudson. And I would encourage you to vote for him, because someone at that age that knows what he knows, he'll learn quickly and probably understand more than most people who are 50. So I support his cause anyway, and I don't know him personally that well, but I've spoken to him. But we've bantered back and forth about the Constitution several times. And what we were going to talk about, and I'm still going to talk about, because it's one of my favorite subjects, is the bar and all the corrupt attorneys that are on it. I say corrupt because if they're stupid enough not to know the law, they deserve to be called corrupt. But I want to ask you people this. We broke away from England, Britain, in 1776. And right now, and it's been happening for the past 200 years, the bar, which is the British Accreditation Registry, gives our attorneys in law school the information they need to pass or to study. Then they test them, the bar tests them. British Accreditation Registry tests our lawyers to practice law in our courts. Do you see anything wrong with that? I sure as hell do.
I do.
I don't want anybody from another country teaching our attorneys to run our government. And if you look into the 13th Amendment, the lost 13th Amendment, not the one they have now, it's the Titles of Nobility Amendment, and it says that these people, people with titles of nobility, that's esquires, attorneys, I believe they're above gentleman status in England, but below knighthood, they're not supposed to hold office in our country, and they're in all three branches of the government. Now, I'm not going to make any allusions or anything like that to anybody, but don't you think it's strange that the governor, a couple U.S. senators, a couple U.S. representatives, the attorney general, the district attorney, they're all lawyers? Do you have to be a lawyer to hold those positions? And if you're wondering why our government continues to grow and grow and grow and consume us, that's the reason why. The courts, they just made a new court for this heroin problem. They just said that there was going to be, they appropriated $1.5 million to hire new cops. I got a better idea. Why don't you appropriate 10 or 15 million or 20 million, and let's make it a police state. I'll have to ask every cop that I walk by for permission, and this is no reflection on the police. It's the stupid laws that the lawyers are making to put us in chains. They're not chains you can see, but they're chains. So I ask the people of New Hampshire, stop putting money into the growth of the government. It does nothing to solve our problems. Not a damn thing. And the reason that I'm running for sheriff is because the laws are not being followed. If you read the United States Constitution, the supreme law of the land, Article 6, Paragraph 2, the Supremacy Clause, okay, that is the law of the land. Find out why statutes are called statutes. How about codes? How come they're not called laws? There's a reason for that. If you don't know what it is, you should look it up and find out. This is your country, your life, your constitution, your government. It's all about you. Be greedy. Be stingy this time. This is one time when you should be. It's about you. You're the sovereign in this country. The people own everything, and that includes the government. And I've been rambling for a few minutes, so I'll turn it over to you, Dean, if you got something to say on that.
Well, I like what you were saying. The British Accreditation Registry, it makes you wonder, back when the founding of this country happened, why Britain was so concerned about taking a fraternity and sticking it into this country in order to control the laws or the rule book, so to speak. And they did so with a very deceptive form of gameplay called Legalese, which means they use the English language, only that they disguise the English language to have secret meanings. So there's a number of words that, and a common example that we love to give is when a judge asks you if you understand charges against you, you think you're answering, do I comprehend the charges against me? But that's not what's being asked. What's being asked is, do you stand under these charges? Do you submit yourself to my authority? Do you surrender to this jurisdiction? And that's where, in secret, everything we do in society is geared towards submitting our sovereignty over to them. So when you contract with them, you remove yourself from a man on the land or a woman on the land as a sovereign being, and you become a citizen, which means you no longer have all of your fundamental rights. It means that you now have some privileges and some protected rights that they'd get to decide whether or not you get to keep them. And of course, they make up the rules as they go. And in particular, in our court system, they really make up the rules as they go. So that's what we have. We have a corrupt criminal system running our country. Now, I made some provocative statements, as if that one wasn't provocative enough. But in the beginning of the show, I made some provocative statements about our government. And our government is literally a privately owned corporation that bought, it was a bunch of international bankers back in 1912 that bought the United States Incorporated as a government services corporation. It's privately owned. It provides government services to you and I. However, the whole time it's been masquerading as the organic government that we had in the 1776 founding. And that's not what's going on. And what's worse than that is that they have, like a malignant tumor, migrated their corporate control to every single government municipality throughout the country. So when you talk about your police department or your public school system or your waterworks system or your waste management system or those types of things that are government services, those are privately owned corporation, and the subsidiary goes straight up, and it goes up all the way to the UN and the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Those are the corporations, and it's funny because there's a big push right now for exiting the United Nations. Because of the Brexit, the British exit of the European Union, there's been a countrywide push and petitions going around to exit the United Nations. And I know we've talked about this, Richie, and I'm not so sure that I can even get behind that, because I already know that we're not talking about a voluntary we the people being part of the United Nations because we say so. No, what we're talking about is the parent company owns the junior company called the United States Incorporated, United States of America Incorporated. So I just don't see it happening. However, I think it's great when people get together and push for what they want and unite rather than be divided. So, pardon me for being interrupted there, but I don't want this going off during the show, which it's about to. Anyway.
No, I wanted to interrupt for a minute. I want to
please
bring
do,
it
'cause
back
I
to
just-
a more basic, a rudimentary level
All right.
by saying that this is just my personal opinion right here. Not that the state is corrupt, that I know, but the attorneys that you have going into the various courtrooms, I believe, are ignorant, because I was told by two top attorneys, nationally acclaimed attorneys, that they haven't taught the Constitution in more than 2 decades in law school. Decades, excuse me. If that's the case, how the hell are our attorneys learning the law? Because in the United States Constitution, it says this is the supreme law of the land. Not the supreme statute, not the supreme code, the supreme law. So if they don't know the law, is it ignorance? I say yes, it is. I don't think they know any better. Now, for the people that are running our state and our government, our federal government, yeah, they're corrupt. They're organized crime. They should be put away. Not all of them, and I don't know. I can't sit here and pinpoint names, nor would I do that. But a great number of them are in the criminal empire, organized crime ring, and they should be tried for treason. And as much as I don't like hurting anybody, I wouldn't mind seeing 1 or 2 of them hanged in public. That's what should happen for the harm they're causing to families who lose their houses, families who lose their children, these drug addicts, heroin addicts that can't get help because all the money's going into the growth of the government. Let's build a new court. Let's hire new attorneys. I was listening to the county attorney for Hillsborough today on the radio this morning, talking about that exact, well, I got to hire new attorneys in the county. Yeah, we need more attorneys. That's just what we need. They'll solve the problems. Don't teach our children at an early age the dangers of drugs so that when they become adults they can make intelligent decisions. Let's wait until they're 20, 22, 25. Then we'll arrest them and we'll put them in court. And we'll throw them into a treatment center that the politicians own. Because not only do they supply the drugs, they supply the... It's a bizarre thing, and people got to start waking up to this fact. The crime has to stop in our government. And the only way that that's going to happen is if we, the people, make it happen. Only the people can make a difference in this country. Not just 1 or 2, all of us. Stand up. It's about time you be counted. And if you don't think the situation is that serious, start looking at the $20 trillion debt that we're under. Okay, and all this garbage that we're being faced with. You have to buy insurance, Obamacare. Geez, I thought we were free. Why am I buying insurance that the government says I have to buy? I don't care what the Supreme Court says. It was a tax. Nowhere in Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution does it say they have the authority to make that happen. Not only that, the Patriot Act is unconstitutional, NDAA is unconstitutional. All these executive orders, they're not unconstitutional, they're just not law. They apply to federal employees only, working for the president. They don't apply to the general public or the police. The police locally don't have to enforce executive orders. If they don't know that, they're ignorant too. I'll challenge any of you want to come on. You've got the email address at the bottom of the screen. Please email me. I'll have you on the show. And I'm speaking here. This is Dean's show mostly, but I'm sure he doesn't mind. Well, come on, do you?
Not at all.
Say so. I'll take him on. Believe me, I mean,
I know.
ignorance
Happy to
is
have
ignorance, and I was ignorant for a long time. Let's overcome it. This is our country I'm talking about. Don't be insulted. Get mad, get angry, but channel it in a positive direction.
So you're saying that if I get pulled over for an ordinance that says I have to have a tag on my car and my tag doesn't have the proper date on it, you're saying it's not actually, I'm not actually under that jurisdiction?
I'm not talking jurisdiction here, but that's another issue. What I'm saying is that if any law, and that's statute, code, rule, regulation, doesn't matter what it is, executive order, anything that is repugnant to the United States Constitution is null and void. Read Marbury versus Madison, read Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, read Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham, Alabama, and then go read the Federalist Papers. Those are the people who wrote the United States Constitution. They wrote the intent of that document in the Federalist Papers. I don't know what source you want to go to. You can ask Kelly Ayotte or Maggie Hassan, or whatever her name is, or any of these other people running our state or the federal government. I would just as soon go to the people who wrote the document. If I say something or I write something, don't go to Dean and say, why did Richie say that? Come to me, I'll tell you why I said it. Same thing applies here.
Now, I have a question for you. So as sheriff candidate for Hillsborough County, how would you handle situations like that?
Be a little more specific.
Say, for instance, we have federal regulators trying to tell somebody that a property is going to be condemned, or you can't build on your property because there's a puddle of water on that property during 1 month of the year, the rainy season.
Well, first of all, the government cannot tell you what to do with your property. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
They think they can. I know about all the changes they made and all this corporate garbage, this other stuff. My contention is they cannot. Mm-hmm. And when I swear my oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and the state constitution, that's exactly what I intend to do. The Bill of Rights is contained in the Constitution. It says, no one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That means the government doesn't come down and say, you need a permit to build an addition on your house. Go to hell. I don't need a permit. I don't need your permission to build on my house. I know you think I do because of this fraud that you created, but I don't. And I won't get one. I will never get a permit or a license from the state again. I don't need one. I don't need the state's permission, the government's permission. The same government that we, the people, created in Article 1, 2, and 3 of the United States Constitution, at least on the federal level. Why are they coming down to BLM, which shouldn't exist under the United States Constitution because they're not authorized to under Article 1, Section 8? Why are they coming down and taking people's property away? By force, with a SWAT team. And then they have meetings and laugh about it.
And they murder people in the process.
This is the type of government you think you're free? Why do you have to pay insurance? Why do you have to do anything the government tells you to do if you're free? And we're losing our freedoms every day. When they had the 9/11 with the World Trade Center, Bush came out and says, okay, we're going to have Homeland Security. Great. Put another layer of bureaucracy on top of things. That'll solve all our problems. And then he initiated the TSA. And I'm not criticizing people for working in the TSA, so please don't get me wrong. It's the government bureaucracy that's screwing us up here. They haven't found a terrorist since 9/11. The two terrorists that I'm familiar with, the shoe bomber and the underwear bomber, were caught by passengers on the airplane, not TSA. They're not going to catch it. And no one can provide for your safety better than you. Look at this, thousands of police just in here in New Hampshire. I could get shot, beat up, robbed. Any number of things could happen to any one of us. And the police cannot provide safety for you. They can come to your assistance, but it might be too late. The money could be gone, your house could be robbed, you could be dead. The police just come and fill out the paperwork afterwards. And I'm not trying to knock the police here, but that's just the reality. No one walks around with us saying, we're going to protect you 24/7. They can't do it. That's just the reality of life. I mean, it's been going on for years and years and years, generation after generation. It doesn't change. I don't know how much time we got left, but I was going to say, we were going to talk about the Federal Reserve Bank, too. I don't know if you want to go there.
We got about 8 minutes.
Yeah, we can pick on them for a while.
Let's do it. Let's pick on the
Federal Reserve Bank isn't the government, although the government authorized them to print our money for us, only they had no authority to do that. So that in itself is fraud also. I'm sure somebody got a nice payoff in 1913 for that to happen. But they print, and I just want to say this because I'm an old fart. I hope you can say fart on TV.
Sure. Just can't say old.
Thank you. When I was a kid, this is about 1960. Not 1860, 1960. I went to the store. My mother, I was about 9 years old. My mother says, here, she gives me $1. This is more than $1, but she gives me $1 and she says, get a loaf of bread, a half a gallon of milk, and a pack of cigarettes. I went to the store with $1 bill, and I gave them the $1, and I actually got change back from $1. Now, if you go to the store to buy the same thing, this isn't enough. I don't think. I don't know how much.
20.
How much? Yeah, but how much is cigarettes? I don't know how much they are.
Down in Massachusetts, they're like $12 or something, I think.
Yeah.
Up here, like 7 or 8.
Maybe that is enough. Then I don't know how much cigarettes are. But the point I'm trying to make is that inflation is never ever going to stop under the Federal Reserve System because they keep printing money and they keep charging the government for that printing. That's why we got a $20 trillion debt. It's never going to stop. And if you hear the politicians, they say, well, we need to raise the debt ceiling. Well, I don't have a PhD, but I can tell you how to stop the debt. Get rid of the Fed. They'll stop printing money for us and charging us interest, and then we can start paying it down.
So
Only we don't own the debt.
Quick question. This is a $20 bill from the Federal Reserve. It's actually a note, a debt note. But I just want to ask, how much does it cost the Federal Reserve to print this?
Or to physically print it, it's probably less than a penny. You could probably print about 20 of those for 1 penny. But the value of that is depreciated, I believe, 98% in 50 years.
Yes, but my point is that if it costs them less than a penny to print it, how much are they charging us to print this? They're putting us in debt.
I don't know what the percentage rate is, but it's high.
$20, right?
No, it's not that. They're charging us the interest what it costs to print it, which I don't know. It used to be 6%. I really don't know what it is now. With inflation, it's probably 50%. I don't even know. It really doesn't matter because our own government can print the money free with no interest, but instead we give it to the Federal Reserve Bank, the Rothschilds, who, I don't know, they're worth $50 trillion? $50 trillion.
500 trillion or something.
Yeah, it's somebody. I'm using a low figure, but there are people out there that are starving. There are people out there that can't even find a place, with shelter. And this guy's got like probably a house on every continent or a mansion. I don't know, whatever he's got, and there's no need of it. I'm not talking about any type of monetary distribution or redistribution of wealth, any of that stuff. This is just a matter of decency. How can you sit there with all this money and watch little children starving to death? You could feed, the Rothschilds can feed everyone on the planet for the rest of their life. Did you know that? For the rest of their life, they can feed everybody. Does anybody care? Or do you want to continue with this? Just keep continuing doing what we're doing and wait till your children, because it's going to be worse. That 20 that Dean had is going to be worth nothing in another 50 years. Well, we won't make it 50 years, but
I'm concerned about the end of this year.
so am I, the next 3 or 4 months.
So the Federal Reserve is under contract to print our money for us. And they took that job on back in 1913, correct?
Fraudulently, yes.
Fraudulently, because it wasn't even...
Wasn't authorized by the government to do it.
Right.
People didn't authorize the government to do it in the United States Constitution.
And it's repugnant to the Constitution for them to do that because the Constitution states that Congress shall coin money, right?
And regulate the value thereof, right?
Yep.
And back
So-
then, the reason, excuse me, Dean, the reason that they said coin money is because coins, a silver dollar or a $20 gold piece, that's all you need to carry around, because you could buy a week's worth of groceries or a week's worth of everything for a $20 gold piece. Actually, it wouldn't even cost you that much.
So, like I said in the beginning, this was made by an international crime syndicate, and it's a fraud system. It's designed to make us weak and poor, to destroy our economy, which they've successfully done for the most part. Anyway, we're getting close to being out of time, so anything else you want to say?
Just that that's fiat counterfeit currency. And the Federal Reserve is making it. We're so used to it, you don't think of it. Trust me, it's fiat. Don't trust me. Look it up. It's fiat counterfeit currency. And they just keep doing that. And the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds in particular, just keep getting rich. They sit on their ass and do nothing. While you slave, and that's why we are called the debt slave. You slave to pay your taxes and do everything. And all that money, or a portion thereof, is extracted to them.
All right, folks, thanks a lot for watching us today. We should be back with Pat Murphy next week. And Richie and I appreciate you tuning in. Hope to see you again soon.
Thank you for watching. Please vote for me.